So right now I'm looking at section 15.5.3 on page 171 of Duff. Here we have some irregular future and aorist passives. Some of them are really very rare and others are used a little more often. So I've given you a chart on Moodle that lists all the occurrences of both aorist passive forms as well as future passive forms in the indicative for all of these verbs. That way you can sort of prioritize which ones you might like to work on memorizing. But let's look at practice 15.5.3. We have esothemen. And so if we look at our list, and even if we don't, we might recognize the verb sozo here. And we see that the aorist passive is esothene, and here we have esothemen. So this is going to be the indicative aorist passive, and men is the first person plural ending. And I wrote this wrong. Let me fix this real quick. Égraffer. So again, we might recognize the verb grapho here. Here it's not so much that the stem has changed, but that the endings are a little bit different than one might expect. If we look up and see grapho, we see that égraphane is the aorist passive, and here we have just the eta ending, so it's the indicative aorist passive, third person singular. Klethesetai, this is kaleo. And here we see that the stem has changed, the alpha has dropped out, but we still have the thesetai ending, which we may recognize as the future tense. And so here we have an indicative future passive, and a tai is the third person singular ending. Let me erase this and put the next three on. Okay, so number 4, we have bléthes, and here the verb is balo. This one clearly is not as easy to recognize. This is a participle ending, so we have a participle that is, because the stem has changed, we know it's aorist passive, and it's nominative masculine singular. Erethe, that is actually the stem that we use in this form for lego. So the stem is completely changed here. And this is the aorist passive stem. Looking at the ending and the epsilon augment, we have an indicative aorist passive third person singular. And elim Phthesan, have to pronounce all those letters. This is from Lambano. And what we have here again is just the aorist indicative, aorist passive. And the thesan tells us that it's third person plural. All right, that's it. Work on these as you can and try to memorize some of the ones that are used the most often. But like I said, they're not very common, so don't put them at the top of your list if you have a long list of things to memorize.